Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 108 of the Powerful Content Podcast. Now, today I have a little behind the scenes treat for you. I've interviewed 5 amazing women who have in some way, shape or form influenced my business journey and the writing of The Power of Content, which, by the way, the ebook is on pre-order right now on Amazon. You can head to thecontenteffect.com.au/book to find out more about the extra free gifts I'm giving you when you purchase it on pre-order. But in the book, I mention experiences or interactions, and I really wanted to bring these to life. So I decided to interview a few women that were behind them, plus bring you my beautiful editor and book cover designer to showcase their talents and thinking behind the power of content. Now, the full interviews with these women can be found inside the digital resources that you have access to for free when you purchase The Power of Content. So it's not just the book, there's digital resources as well. So go on over and pre-order the ebook so that it is delivered to your Kindle when it goes on sale to the public on the 8th of April 2024. So let's start this episode with a story about biz buddies. In chapter 6 of The Power of Content, I write, entrepreneurship can be lonely, whether it's in the early days when you're trying to understand all the moving pieces of a business or later in your journey when you're trying new tactics to grow or scale. Feeling like you can lean on someone for help, advice, or as a sounding board can make a huge difference to whether you stay stuck or have the confidence to create action and momentum. Whether this is a networking community that you meet with regularly, an online community, or a group of biz besties you catch up with in person every now and then, making a conscious decision to seek out others can literally make or break your business. Now, Eliza Ludwig from the Flow Society is one of those biz besties and has had a big impact on the direction of my business, indirectly influencing me writing this book. In our interview, we spoke about the importance of friends and community. So obviously, Eliza Ludwig from the Flow Society has been my biz buddy for the longest time I can remember. So thank you for joining me. I'd love to know from you, what is it about having friends in business that's so important? Or if you even think that it's important, maybe you don't.
Well, I feel that being in business is so unique. It's what I've wanted to do for as long as I can remember. But nothing really, even though I worked in corporate, so I worked for business, not in like the non-for-profit or government or whatever. I worked for for-profit businesses from small to large, but nothing really prepares you for what it's like to be that front line, especially when you see some people maybe taking ideas or doing things that you wanted to do and doing it better, it can really play with your mental health, I suppose. I was just going to say with your head, you think, oh, they're much better than me. Of course, I'm not going to succeed. And, when I speak to my husband, he said, just stop doing it. Just go back to corporate. And he doesn't really understand why I'm so drawn to doing this thing, which at times can feel really hard and make me, frustrated or doubt myself. So having a friend who's actually in business can really sort of, I ran a challenge recently, and after day one, I was like, well, that was great. I don't want to do day 3 to 5, day 2 to 4, because I was just like, it took all of my energy, and I absolutely loved it. I got off that call and just felt on top of the world. But by the afternoon, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. And I said, is that normal? And you just said, yep. And that was all I needed to get me going again, Whereas again, just tell my husband, he's like, oh, just don't do it, just, why are you even doing this, blah, blah, blah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's sort of the importance, is to normalize what you're feeling, and to also normalize that despite some of those tough feelings, it's still worth it to continue, and you're doing valuable work, and to keep going.
Another woman I consider a friend in business is Michelle Marks from Fern and Quill. In chapter 2, I talk about funnels and how I think they're taught in a very non-heart centered way. I'm talking about the various parts of the funnel and write this. This then leads to the middle part of the funnel. It's slightly narrower, representing the fact that people drop out or spill out the sides from all the pushing and jumping up and down on them. It's all about the numbers. The more you can push into the top and shove down, the more you'll have in the middle. The types of words you might hear at this point of the funnel are tripwire. Again, not a great term. This is a low-cost offer that's put in front of your subscriber to encourage them to purchase from you and go deeper into your world of offers. One of my business friends coined the phrase welcome offer. I much prefer this term. Now, Michelle was that beautiful business friend that introduced me to the term welcome offer. In our interview, we talk about living your values, embracing the journey, and how changing your language can impact the energy you bring to your business. You talk about how we are so aligned in our thinking and our beliefs. And it is that reason that I've got you on today, because I mention inside the book about how I really hate the term tripwires. So if anyone's watching this, not sure what a tripwire is, it's kind of like that offer that you give someone in the automated emails after they sign up for your lead magnet. And that term tripwire is just so disgusting. And I remember talking to you one day saying, oh, Michelle, there's got to be a better word. There's got to be a better way or different perspective that we can look at this. And you came up with something else for me. And that was the suggestion of a welcome offer. And I just thought, oh my goodness, how different is that energy that we bring to something just by switching the word?
Who came up with these ridiculous marketing terms?
I don't know.
Tripwire, God, it just seriously. But yeah, no. When you shift from, there's a lot of terms in marketing that just don't feel right. And it's like another one that irks me is engagement. You've got to have engagement time. You've got to engage with your audience. And so it just feels like it's a job where we're not actually treating them like human beings on the other end.
Oh, yes.
Because
definitely.
I mean, and that's where the welcome offer is so, that's where the welcome offer just resonates so much more than tripwire. Because it's like, you've got to set your tripwire email. And it's like, what are we trying to do to our people? These people that we want to work with, that we want to help. Because I mean, let's face it, we're in service-based business, probably because we are driven to want to make positive change for people. We want to help people, not tripwire them.
Not trick them. Not trick them into trying to buying something that maybe they don't really want. Like, instead of saying, here's this amazing welcome into my world, here's this amazing offer that I want to give to you. Whether it's a reduced price, small price, whatever it is. Different energy. Now, energy and purpose has a lot to do with the content that we create, what we create, and how we bring it to the world. Someone who knows a lot about purpose and energy is Susie Petrozzi, clinical psychologist and women's empowerment coach. In chapter 1 of The Power of Content, I write, letting go of the time, money, and clients I served as a virtual assistant was difficult. It was all I knew about starting an online business. But after attending a retreat run by a client, I knew that it was time to step into what I really needed and wanted to do. While it's been 3 years between the retreat and typing the first words of this book, I know that it's part of my vision to teach and inspire women to step into their confidence and their own version of success through creating powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. to share this message and encourage others to embrace and embody their own uniqueness and knowledge so that they too can be purposeful about what it is their own heart desires them to do. So I had no choice really. Now, Susie was that client, and I can say that the retreat had such a profound impact on my business and life journey. In the full interview with Susie, we talk about purpose and how it has influenced the writing of The Power of Content.
Not aligned or not clear on what our values are, which really is a compass for our life and for our decision making. We could be working a job that's, not engaging, that we're really bored in, that, we're not happy with, because we've imposed these values. I have to be working in this job to whatever, make a name for myself. So I think having clear values, knowing what your values are, is pivotal in terms of getting closer to what your purpose is. But I would take it even a step back. Let's say it's, you're someone, and I would say generally whoever ends up on your book, whoever ends up reading your book or listening to this would be someone who is a lot more aware of where they're at on their journey.
Yeah.
But I would still say, in order to even get clear on the values, what your values are, we need to get clear on what's not working for us. What is it that we're frustrated with? And then unpack why is that? Because then they become the clues to, well, what is it that I want? What is it that I then value from that? And then getting to the purpose. And then when we get to the purpose, we start to really hone in on what am I good at? And having known what, spending the time on what am I frustrated with and why am I frustrated with that will help us be more accepting and valuing of what our strengths are. So looking at what our strengths are, what we value, and what are we passionate about. I think they're the clues to our purpose. But just to really reinforce, I don't advise jumping into that, Mel, unless you've become really clear on what your values are. And then even before that, getting really clear about with yourself on, how are you getting in the way of yourself? And I call that sabotages. You can call that, self-imposed barriers. You can call that ways you get in the way of yourself. So that's like a little trajectory to getting clear on your purpose. And you've hit it. Sorry, Mel, you've hit it, or you're in your purpose because it will just feel right.
Someone who is also very attuned to purpose and vision in their work is Chantel King, Brand Ignition and Evolution Guide. From day one meeting Chantel, I knew that she was a deep thinker and was very in tune with how other people feel, especially about their brand. With Chantel's unique approach to branding strategy, I knew that she would be the one to design my cover. In chapter 8, I write, "The terms being authentic or true to yourself are often tossed around in the online space. But if you stop to really think about it, powerful content needs you to be exactly this. Simply to be your beautiful, unique self. When you act like someone else or someone you think you should be, everything is difficult. Simple fact. Because acting isn't being. And you need to be in order to be seen and heard. And you need to be seen and heard in order to make an impact on more people." Chantel's unique approach to brand strategy means that you no longer have to act like someone else. You can simply be your brand. In our interview, we talk about some of the elements of the visual aspect and the process of the book cover design and how Chantel's expertise has helped me to embrace becoming an author. I asked her how did knowing about me and where we wanted to take the book come together in the design of the book cover.
Yeah, so I suppose for me, I like to just collect all the information. So it was like, I know we had a discussion on because you know the content of the book so well, I feel like it was really important to get your sort of thoughts on if any visions or any sort of like feelings were coming up as you were writing the book, or even when you finished. And I know you really enjoyed the sort of feeling or the vibe from the Kickstarter video that you did. So we did use that as sort of inspiration, as well as, asking you sort of like what the tone was. So having you describe like your book like a scene in a movie, which would really, help. Yes. It helps give those sort of like feelings. So like, if you don't mind me sharing.
Go for it. Yes, I forgot about that question. It was a great question.
Yeah, so you wrote, it's when the big sister sits with the little sister down on a comfy couch and gives her advice about the fact that she doesn't feel like she fits in. that it's okay to be yourself and not listen to what other people say, that she'll be able to reach her dreams, but needs to work out how best to do it for herself. So even just taking like that gives a sense of feeling and evokes like ideas around colors and things like that too. So that's like a really good starting point. And you mentioning like how you want people to feel when they engage with the book as well, and sort of little areas of the content too. Like there was like key themes that I kind of pick out from there, like the simplicity. I know you mentioned there was also like empowerment and, you know, just stuff like that. So I just kind of get all that sort of like swirling around, and just with my knowledge of like design, you know, and how to express things in a visual format, that starts to piece together.
The other person that had a huge impact on getting the power of content out into the world is my editor and good friend, Romina Cavagnola. Since editing this book, she's added another angle to her business, stories and lenses photography, which is also very exciting. In chapter 9, I write, I used to think that I didn't have a story to share. I've never been exposed to mental health issues, to trauma, grief, loss, rags to riches, or had to overcome insurmountable challenges. I would read other people's stories and think, heck, what amazing humans they are to be doing what they're doing given what they've gone through. I grew up in an average, loving family. I was an academic overachiever, a doer, a participator, and occasional rule breaker. I had an amazing corporate career, married the most supportive man in the world, and have 2 beautiful children. Nothing groundbreaking there. But then, 2 gorgeous business friends opened my eyes to the expanse of story. Romina was one of these business friends. Our friendship has grown throughout the years, and in our interview, we talk about the importance of structure when it comes to writing a book.
Well, I think I totally understand the perspective of no structure is, restrictive or rigid or whatever people seem to think it is. And, to some degree, there are some people who just cannot work with a structure. They can't visualize themselves kind of going in flow when they're within a structure. But I don't look at a structure as something rigid. I look at it as something that's malleable, that you can customize, and it really helps to create a space or a container, whatever you want to call it, framework within which you can then work more effectively. So the idea is that you create a space that's dedicated to this particular endeavor, and the boundaries that creates helps you to guide your energy more effectively. So instead of, kind of just like sitting there and just writing whatever and then going, I'm never going to finish this because I don't actually know what direction I'm going in, having the structure can help you to remove some of the overwhelm. It can help to remove some of the aimlessness that you can feel when you sit there trying to write. I know that I have done this in the past where I've just said, oh, I've got this idea and I'm going to write this book. And, some books have been, percolating there for a while because I never sat down to do that process of creating the bounds within which this needs to be written. Whereas when I have implemented a structure, then that has been a much more fruitful project because I've really known what it is that I'm trying to achieve with this writing and what output I want to have for the readers. So it's not just for the writing. It helps for what the reader is going to receive.
And what I hope that you really receive is the message that there's no right way or wrong way to do content, just your way. And when you support yourself to bring more you to your content, then you'll become more confident and clear on your message that matters. If you want to know more about how to support yourself, plus hear the full interviews with all of these amazing women, then head to thecontenteffect.com.au/book. The link is in the show notes to find out how you can get your hands on a copy today. And don't forget, if you pre-order the ebook now or purchase the print copy during launch week, then I've got a whole stack of extra gifts to say thank you. All you need to do is send me your receipt to unlock them. I can't wait to see you bring more you to your content. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, Hell Mel, stop talking. I'm ready to work with you now. Here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.